My name's TJ. If we've never met before, if this is your first time, I'm the pastor here at the Shore, and we're kicking off a brand new series this week called Fully Alive. And the goal of this series is to help you become fully alive. And there's different things that all of us do that make us feel alive, right? How many guys, if you drive fast, like a fast car, would make you feel alive? You guys are very quiet people. Yes, fast, me, hand, that's it, okay. What about skydivers? You feel alive when you're jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, right? Okay, that had to be invented by a redneck. Hey, watch this, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? But you feel alive. You feel alive when you're falling to earth at insane speeds. That's cool. All right, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I haven't tried it, but you get whatever. Okay, some of you guys feel alive when 75% off rack and everything's in your size. Oh. Your heart's pumping. You can't flip through the clothes fast enough, right? You're like, your hands are Yeah, I've seen you in the frenzy, all right? It's called Black Friday. That's how people get killed, all right? That's what I'm saying, okay? For me, how do I feel alive? Well, I love to go fishing. So I feel alive when I set the hook on a big fish, and it's like, whoosh. You guys know what I'm talking about? Any other fishermen in the house? That's me. It's like the drag's going. The other day I was fishing, and man, I just got hooked into something big. It broke me off, but it's like the one that got away story. But when I was like trying to retie my line, I'm like, like trying to get, my heart was racing. Why? I was alive. But what happens the next time the car you jump in isn't as fast as the last one? Or the jump from the plane wasn't as high or as fast as the last time, or the sail was just as good, but they didn't have anything in your size, right? Or you go fishing and you don't hook into something big. Like things can leave us short in our quest for feeling fully alive, right? Even the holiday season will do this to us, won't it? Like we get all amped up. We got Christmas trees and lights and Santa Claus, and we got turkeys, and we got all this stuff, and we're supposed to feel really alive, right? But all of us on the inside, I know that there's a part of us that's going, but there's more, right? There's more than this. You guys been there before? I don't know if I feel fully alive, and that's why we're doing this series, to help you feel fully alive, because it starts on the inside and works its way out, not doing things on the outside and working its way in. And sometimes I believe that this is true, that when we get a little bit of friction between us and God, our life level starts to diminish. We don't feel fully alive when we're disconnected from God, when we have a relational kind of friction. You guys know what relational friction is? Maybe Thanksgiving was awkward at your house. Hello, relational friction, right? Or Christmas dinner, you're going, do I want to go, right? But the same thing happens between us and God. Our relationship gets distanced with God, and all of a sudden we're like, I wonder what happened. I wonder why I don't feel fully alive. I know there's more to life than this, but where is it? Where can I find it? Well, Jesus in Luke chapter 15 tells a story about a son and his father, and the video clip you just saw was the father's perspective talking about his son. And now, if you've been in church for a while, you remember the story of the prodigal son, right? You heard that before? Or the lost son? Well, that's the text that we're going to go to today in the Bible, in Luke chapter 15, starting at verse 11. So if you guys want to pull out your notes, I've got 4 blanks for you. It'll take me about 25 to an hour to get through them. No, I'm just kidding. 25 to 30 minutes to get through all of these points, and then we'll dismiss from there. So first blank in your notes, why don't you take a look at it? The first blank in your notes is actually deception. How do we fall away from God? How do we get that relational conflict? How do we get that distance from God? Well, the first thing that happens in our life is often deception. Let me explain that a little bit. Let's go to the Bible, Luke chapter 15. I'm going to read that, starting in verse 11. Jesus continued, because he's telling parables to a group of people. There was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. Let's pause. Jesus is talking to a group of Jewish people. There's Pharisees, there's religious leaders, there's sinners, there's tax collectors. There is a wide range of people that are supposed to be really good, people that know they're bad, and everything in between. And Jesus is telling them this story. Now, when a son says to a father, hey, give me my portion of the estate, basically what he's saying, and all these people that were standing there knew this, is I'd rather have you dead because I want your stuff more than I want you. How many guys know that would not go over well in your house? Right? Like if you ever said that to your mom or dad, they would have the out of you. You know what I'm talking about? Or what if your kids said that to you? You would them out of them, right? It would not fly. But this Father is gracious. But I want you to remember, hang on to those two words in your head. Give me. Give me my share. It's all about him. And so he divided the property between them. The verse continues. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and he set off for a distant country. He goes, okay, I'm leaving. I got what I need, Dad. I got everything from you, and now I'm gone. And when he did that, he distanced himself from the Father. He left the Father's house. He left the relationship with the Father. But what an unintended consequence of that is he actually left the protection of the Father. And the same is true with our relationship with God. How many times do we pray and we're like, God, I need some stuff. Ouch, right? God, I need you to come through on this or that for me. I need money. I need help on a test. I need help on my job. I need help with my kids. I need help with this. I need. Give me. And the son packs everything. He goes, okay, I got what I needed. Now it's time for me to go out on my own. And he believed the lie. He was deceived that I can do this on my own. I can do this without my Father. That's where the deception comes in. I don't need your rules, Dad. I don't need you telling me what to do, telling me who I can sleep with or not sleep with, what I need to do with my money, what I should do with my language, how I should treat people, right? He says, I don't need that. I'm gonna go away from your house. And the story continues after that. He says, and he got everything and he set off for a distant country and there squandered his wealth on wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country and he began to be in need. Look at this. The seed of deception started when he decided I could do it on my own. But as the seed grew, what happened? He found out he couldn't do it on his own. And external circumstances came in, things that he could not control, the famine, right? And it altered the way his life, he became in need. And the verse continues, so he went and hired himself out to a citizen of the country who sent him to his field to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. He had nothing. So you look at this situation, he was deceived to think, okay, I just want you to give me what's mine. And oftentimes we say that to God, God, just take care of my life. I just need all this stuff. And then we go, okay, thank you for the stuff. I'm going to go do what I want to do. I don't need the house. I don't need the relationship. I don't need the protection. I don't need any of that. I've got it on my own. And then it continues, and all those seeds that he started to plant begin to grow in his life. And he has fun for a while. And it grows up, and the seeds that he planted turn into hard times. And they turn into times that cause him to get down to the point where he's wanting to eat what pigs eat. Now, if he was in his father's house, do you think, hey, this is my dream. I think I'm going to go to a distant country, lose everything, and live with pigs. You think that was his dream? Of course not. I don't think any one of us would go, no, that's not my dream. I don't think any one of us would say, that's where I want to go, that's where I want to end up. But when you isolate yourself from a relationship with God, when we have that friction and that distance, we do things we never thought we would do. Oh, I'm never going to end up like that. I'm never going to be an addict. Are you kidding me? I'm never going to get a divorce. I said I do, that's it, man. I'm solid. I'm never going to have this happen in my life. I'm never going to be in need. I'm going to be okay. But when we distance ourselves from God and we don't kind of live in his protection, guess what happens? We become something we don't want to be. And that's exactly what happened to this son. And too many times, we turn around and we go, God, how could you do this to me? How could you let me live in the filth of a pig pen? How could you send this famine to punish me? God wasn't punishing the son. What was happening was he was reaping the harvest that he planted in the ground, right? And too many times we go, oh, God's so bad. He's not nice. He's not any of this. But what's actually happening is we're getting our own desires. Look at the book of James. It's also in your notes. I'm going to read that to you real quick. James chapter 1, verses 13 through 15. He says, and remember, when you are being tempted, do not say, God is tempting me. God can never be tempted to do wrong, and he never tempts anyone else. And then this is the key verse for you, all right? This is the key verse for me. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. What happened to the son was not something that the father did. I can't believe you gave me all this money and you made me leave. No, he didn't do that. It wasn't the father's fault. It was the son's own desires that were planted and began to grow. And then the verse continues. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, that seed is planted. When it's allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. Now, I know all of us, myself included, I've planted some seeds, and I've felt some death in my life, where my life's not going the way I thought it should go, and I have to rewind and go, I know God didn't do this to me. What seeds was I planting that I'm reaping a harvest of death right now? And that's why deception is so hard. That's why it's so deceptive, this lie. Because it doesn't happen immediately. It's like planting seeds and you're like, I don't see anything bad. Actually, I'm having a good time. And you plant the seeds and you don't see the harvest until later. You don't know that it's a negative harvest because you don't see what's going on. It would be a lot easier if sin was like a shock collar. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you ever see one of those dogs and you're like running down the street? I don't run unless there's like an ice cream truck or something, but you know, you're jogging or whatever, and the dog, he's like in the yard like, "Arr!" And then he runs after you and you're like, "Ah!" And then all of a sudden the shock collar hits him and he's like, "Gee!" You know, he like runs back inside, right? What if sin was like that? Wouldn't our life be a lot simpler? Like you're tempted to do wrong and you just kind of, you're like, hey girl, you know, like, I'll go read my Bible now, right? Yeah, right over here. Like wouldn't it be easier? But God doesn't do that to us because He doesn't want puppets. He wants you and I to plant seeds and reap a harvest. And whatever we plant today, we're going to reap tomorrow. Whatever we plant today, we reap tomorrow. And that's what's happening to the son. He planted seeds and he was deceived. He thought, I can do it on my own. And the harvest was him ending up in the pig pen. But that's not where it ends. The story doesn't end there. Number 2 in your notes, honesty. Honesty. When we find ourselves in the pig pen, down in the pit, muddy, gross, all messed up, when we're in that situation, honesty is our only way out. And honesty comes not so naturally to most of us. Actually, I think to all of us. How many of you guys who have kids had to teach them how to lie? No one, right? Nope, I didn't do it. They did it, right? God talks to Adam and Eve, the woman you gave me, right? Like, he's shifting the blame. There is no honesty there. Sin entered, and honesty is hard to come by. You ever get called early in the morning, they wake you up, and they're like, hey, I'll wake you up. No, I've just got done working out, man, right? Yeah, right? You know you do that, right? You're like, yeah, no, my alarm just went off, right? Like, that's you, and you don't even know you sound tired, but the other person's like, liar, liar, liar on the phone. But we're bad at honesty. But look at this young man. He's sitting in the pig pen, dirty, filthy, starving to death, and look what he says. Check it out. He says, when he finally came to his senses, he got honest for a moment. He got real within himself. No one had to come and tell him, you're doing what you're doing wrong. He did not like where he was, right? And so he says, he came to his senses. He said to himself, and you ever rehearse a speech like, your mom's like, wait till your father comes home. And you're like, oh no. And you like start working on the speech in your head, right? That's what he's doing. He's going, okay, at home, even the hired servants have enough food to spare. And here I am dying of hunger. I will go to my father. He comes to the realization, there's a moment of honesty. He got gut level real for a moment, and he goes, you know what? I made a mistake. I messed up. And he comes to the realization that living in my father's house is better than living outside my father's house. Pretty simple realization, right? But it gets more complex the longer we live life. That when we are with our Father, God our Father, life goes better than when we're planting seeds on our own. And again, it's not immediate, and it's hard to tell when we walk out, when we have that distance in relationship, but eventually those seeds begin to grow. And so he goes, oh, I realized something. Right here, it's better. It's better with my Father. He says, I'm going to go to my Father, and I'm going to say something. I'm going to say, Father, I have sinned. That's a hard thing to say, isn't it? If I asked one-on-one, all of you, to tell me, what's your sin? How many guys would be like, I got to go right now, church is over, isn't it? See you later. That would be tough. Because it's hard for us to be gut level honest, isn't it? It is really hard. And God looks at us and he goes, listen, if you're honest with me, I'll be real with you. And look at the son. He goes, I have sinned. Not this person's sin, not my father's fault. It's my fault. And here's what we do, though. It's hard for us to be honest. I didn't sin. I just got some issues. I just made a mistake. Well, listen, Jesus didn't die for mistakers, okay? He died for sinners, right? And all of us have sinned. But it needs for us to be honest, to go, you know what, God? I need to admit it to him. And this is the speech he's rehearsing in his mind. He's saying, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please, and then look at these next two words, please take me on as a hired servant. Take me. What were the two words I asked you before to remember? Give me. Now he's saying, take me. One is directed you giving to me. When we have a relationship with God that's solely based on give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, we're going to end up like the son. But when we have a relationship with God, when we're going, God, take me. Change me, mold me, shape me. Use me to be whoever. If I have to be a servant, then I'll be a servant because it's better in your house than it is on my own out here. Take me on as a hired servant. So he returned home to his father. And notice the order. It was a realization, then a return. Realization, then return. Nobody can come to God unless they first have that realization that, you know what? This pig pen is no fun. It's better in my Father's house. And you know who wasn't there? His father. I knew you wouldn't make it. You're a sinner. Pointing the finger, yelling at him, right? I told you so, boy, right? Like he didn't do that. There is no one telling him. He came to the conclusion in gut level honesty. No one convinced him. You're going to have some opportunities with family around, right? Like, dear God, you're praying at the Thanksgiving table or Christmas. Dear God, I pray for Uncle Joe. And Joe, he's lost, God. I can tell just by the alcohol on his breath right now, right? And this woman, this is the third woman in 4 years that he's brought to this dinner table. And look at her, God, you know she's not saved. Look what she's wearing, right? Jesus, I pray. You're like, would you do that? They don't need a guilt trip. They need a realization and someone to love them into the point of returning. They need a realization and then a return. You got me? No guilt trip, people, all right? Love people back. And so the story continues where Jesus says, okay, this guy, he comes to the realization, he's rehearsed his speech, and he starts to go home. And what happens next? Well, if you take a look in your notes, number 4, compassion. The Father has compassion on him. And this compassion, all of us are compassionate about something. Some of us have that, we're compassionate towards the environment, right? And you're hugging trees, and you should do that, and you're recycling things, and you're cleaning beaches. I love that. I think you guys should do that more. Some of us are compassionate towards animals, like you see the commercial with the jacked up looking dog on it, right? And in the arms of the angels, and you're like, where's my MasterCard? I gotta help that dog, right? And you can keep the cats, all right? That dog, right? Like, oh, if you didn't know, I don't really like cats. Okay, whatever. But save the dogs. Great, save the dogs. All the cats, we can debate that later, okay? Aw, did I offend you? Oh, well, all right, let's move on, okay. But you know what God's his compassion is towards? His compassion is towards the rebellious. His compassion is looking for you, the ones who have strayed away from God. The ones that are in the pig pen. He's got a son at home, and who is he looking for? Look at it in your notes, Luke chapter 15 again. And while he was still a long way off, the father saw him coming. How did he know he was, how did he see him? Because he was looking for him. He was looking every day, is my son coming home? Is my son coming home? Is my son coming home? And every day, God, the Father is looking for us. Man, is he coming home? And I know some of us are going, of course God's looking for me. He wants to strike me with lightning, right? He wants to say, I told you so. He wants to bring the boom down. But no. The Father doesn't respond that way. Look at the next line. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son. He didn't even let his son get all the way back. He ran out to meet him. He met him halfway. He said, I'm not going to let you go all that way by yourself. I'm going to come and get you. And many of you, just being in this room right now, is within eyesight of God. And guess what God's doing? He's running for you. And he's running to you this morning. Or maybe you've been in church your whole life, but you still don't feel fully alive. God's looking at you going, your body may have been present, but your heart's been far. But this morning, I'm running for you too. Full of love and compassion, he ran and he embraced him and he kissed him. Now, think about that for a moment. The son, the thief of a son, taking the money, wasting the money, spending it on who knows what, who knows where, living in a pig pen, starving to death, still got the muck and the mud and the smell of pig on him. And what does the father do? Throws his arms around that messy, smelly, nasty kid and gives him a kiss, and he says, "You're my son. I don't care how far you've run. I don't care how many pig pens you've been living in. God does not care what you did last week or last night." He says, "Come here." And he throws his arms around you because God's not afraid of our messes. He's way bigger than any mess we've gotten ourselves into. And he loves you. And he wants the best for you. And he wants to wrap his arms around you, and he wants to show you his love and compassion. All we have to do is realize that I need to be in his house and go home. Then finally, the last thing that happens, number 4, there's a celebration. There's a party that happens, all right? You know what I'm talking about? It's awesome passage right here. His son said to him, now this is the rehearsal, right? This is the speech. His son said to him, this is what's going on through my mind, Dad. This is what I've been thinking. I come to a realization. He goes, "Father, I've sinned against both heaven and you." There's that honesty thing again. And I am no longer worthy of being called your son. And before the son could get to the next part where he's like, "Take me and make me a servant," and he's going through. But his father said to the servants, quick. His father cuts him off halfway through his speech, right? And he goes, No. You're my son. Who cares if you think you're worthy of being my son? You are my son. Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. Kill the calf we've been fattening. It is time for us to have a party, right? We must celebrate with a feast. And then he gives us a reason. For this son of mine was dead and now has returned to life. He was lost, but I saw him coming. And I ran out to meet him. And now he's found. And God's looking at many of us this morning going, you were lost, but you don't have to stay that way. You've been reaping that harvest of death in your life, and you're not fully alive, but today can be different for you. Because God sees your heart. He sees you come. He sees that, you know what, you've realized there's something I need to do. And he sees you come, and then it continues. So the party began. I love that line. The party began. Don't you think we should have fun in church? There should be a celebration. There should be a celebration in God's house when the rebellious return home. And that's what we're going to do. We're a place where we love to celebrate. I don't care how you walked in. You could still have the slop of pig mess all over you. Doesn't matter. The Father is just running towards you right now, waiting to embrace you. The party is going to start. All we have to do is return home. And Jesus made it simple for us. He says, if you come to me, and you just kind of lay it all out there, say, you know what, I've sinned, I've messed up. He's going to welcome you in. He's going to clean you up. He's going to make you a son again. He's going to make you a daughter again. And the way we do that is pretty simple. It's really simple, actually. We just give our life back over to Him. We renounce the deception. Actually, I can't do it on my own, God. I figured that out. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough whatever. I need you. Instead of give me, God, I'm saying take me. I give you everything I am. And that's how we do it. We go back to God in that way. And I'm going to help you with a prayer. And the Bible says you pray this prayer from your heart. Like you have that realization. You come to your senses moment like the Son. He says that He answers that prayer, yes, every time. So I'm going to pray a prayer. I'd like for you guys to just close your eyes, bow your heads. I'm going to pray a prayer as if I'm praying it. And I'd like for you to listen to the words. And if they resonate with you, if this is something that you want to do, why don't you say those words in your heart with me? God, right now I pray that you would take me. I've been living my life. Give me, give me, give me. I've even been blaming you for the things that have gone wrong, God. But now I just say, take me. Help me to know you, Jesus. I want to return to your house, to your protection, to relationship with you. So, Father, take my life. I give you everything. I don't hold anything back from you. In your name we pray. Everybody says, amen.